Greetings, everyone. This is Pamela Lorenzo, your friend, your host, your coach. Today, we're kicking off day 3 of the 5-day podcast lead challenge for the class of September 2024 for the UK Europe. I'm very excited because the first 2 days were good, but today is going to be fire because today is going to be the central point of everything I do of my approach to a profitable podcast method, and that's what's going to be covering today. So it's super excited. I'm excited. Are you guys excited and ready for today?
Yay.
All right. Good. Okay, let me just share my screen. Let me find the right one. Okay, perfect. Day 3. Okay. Do you guys see my screen? All right, let me go to present mode. Okay, so the menu for today. So we're going to start first with a short Q&A from day 2, and then we're going to dive what is the most important principle of this entire approach that I have been blessed with, and that is identifying your zone of genius, your true gifts. And then once we've done that, you will see everything builds up from each other from then on. Then we're going to identify your ideal listener. What is your ideal avatar? And once we've done that, we're going to brainstorm together, what is your podcast about? And tonight for me, today for you is going to be, we can divide it in 2 parts, 2 halves, so to speak. First half is going to be on the zone of genius, and we do the foundation. And part 2, I'm going to show you point blank how to literally launch a podcast in 3 easy steps today. So part 1 is going to be building the foundation, identifying your zone of genius. And part 2, we take that and literally build your podcast. By just this information I'm sharing with you today for free, you can go and launch your profitable podcast if you wanted to. And this is why today's call is so powerful. That's why I've been saying it's going to be fire. All right, first of all, before we do that, bring on the questions from yesterday or even from day 1. Questions. Anyone has any questions?
Nope.
Yes.
I can say something if nobody's got a question, because with my co-host Norma Sherwin for my podcast Sphere of Being, we are now going to be doing a webinar, which is going to act as the funnel for the course, which we've just set up just this moment before this call, so that we're going to be doing a 3-week course with workbook and course materials, and it's going to be called the Care More Academy. So yeah, absolutely brilliant. Really over the moon with that.
Beautiful, amazing, well done. You guys are unstoppable. You know, you launched your podcast when you took the program back. You took the challenge in April, did the academy in May, and now you're already launching 3 podcasts. You're all over the place.
2 podcasts, but I've done, I think Ikra will be able to say more than me, but I think I've done over 50 episodes now.
Whoa.
50. Yeah.
You're officially on par to beat the record of Katana Barinovsky, one of the first alumni from the first class way back in the US. She did 50 episodes in 2 weeks, and you're on par with her. That's why I keep calling her champ. So you're champ number 2, you know? Wow, amazing.
I think Ikra's keeping score more than I am. I'm just doing them.
Okay, beautiful. Yes. Cool, thank you for sharing that. Any other people has any questions? Bring them on. I want at least 1 or 2 questions. Come on. Anyone? Once, twice? All right, no problem. Keep your questions for later because there will be lots of questions after today. Yes, absolutely. All right, let's get going. So who in here wants to get leads on demand and high-ticket clients organically anytime they want and make money with a very own profitable podcast? Raise your hands. If you don't raise your hand, it means you don't want to make money. If you don't want to make money in the wrong place, just leave the challenge. Seriously. All right, this is good. This is good. Okay, cool. All right, so let's start with the start. Do you guys know? Okay, I just showed you. Do you guys know what is the #1 reason why most coaches, online entrepreneurs, and professionals fail to get any traction, any leads or clients online? I want you guys to expand beyond that, beyond the lack of clarity. Can anyone give me their thoughts on that? Why is that? Why is lack of clarity the #1 killer of businesses for most entrepreneurs online? I'd like to at least 1 or 2 people. Come on. Yes,
You
Catherine. Go
can't,
ahead.
sorry. Talking about myself, it's about not knowing how to use social media to do so. I've not been in social media. I'm just starting now, doing baby steps in LinkedIn. I think, yeah, being visible is something that's important.
You know, you mentioned social media. I'm not on social media neither. And I don't think LinkedIn can qualify as social media, can it? It's much networking. I put more in networking than. But anyway, that's
LinkedIn now is a social media platform.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay. 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 That's a good answer. We're gonna tackle that in a moment. Pamela, and then Arthur, and then Noreen.
I think you need to understand people's how they're hurting. So yeah, you need to understand their problem. You can have clarity, but if you're clear on the message that you want to give, but it has to be the right message for what people are searching for.
Absolutely. Great. Absolutely. Love that. Arthur.
Well, I think clarity is essential in everything. In fact, that's one of my 4 words for this year, because last year was a bit different. I started coaching and then got a bit distracted by life and things. So if you're not clear on what you want to do, and more importantly, why you want to do it, then you're not going to achieve very much, are you?
Absolutely. Love that. Absolutely. Spot on. Noreen.
I suppose for me, being a very shy person on social media or anything, for clarity it's what I have found is that when I have passion, I think people actually grasp onto your voice in who you are. Sometimes I suppose what I've learned is that I don't listen to somebody. Sometimes I just see their reactions and see their body language and know if they're genuine or not, and if they're speaking from their soul or they're just gobbledygook, because a lot of people know where they're coming, they have clarity, they've it all learned off, but it's looking out for the genuine who speak from their soul. And I think I've learned that over the years is just be myself.
Absolutely. And I'm going to show you how to do that today by specifically identifying zone of genius. That's exactly it. Speaking from the heart. Love that. Thank you. Susie. Unmute yourself, please.
Thank you. As you say, we can't heal the world, especially those of us who, I think everybody here, are givers and care, but we can't heal the world. But people buy into people. There are hundreds and thousands of coaches, hundreds and thousands of everybody doing everything. But so there's so much noise. We've got to be very clear about what our message is. And yes, a huge why that gets you out of bed in the morning. And then be clear on exactly who we're talking to. I was taught to talk and write to just one person, as you use the word, the avatar. And that will narrow everything down so that you can do that. I'm still not very good at it, I have to say.
Well, you're in the right place, because we're gonna hone in on this for the next 3 days, and really deep. So great answer. I like that. David.
Yeah, I think what Noreen and Susie have said is very true, actually. And I'll use some personal experience here. For 14, 15 months of my life in the last couple of years, I've been involved in a consultancy franchise, which I'm no longer involved in. And our pitch really was to be a generalist business person. I found that almost very difficult, because you've got to have a speciality, haven't you? And in the way that we were presenting ourselves, or I was presenting myself, I don't think it was the real me. And I agree with the comments about everything, you know, in my life, the things that I've been most passionate about, the things that I've been most successful. And one of the things that I wanted to get out of this week is to understand what you're trying to get to today, which is finding a speciality for you and sticking with that, really, because I think that's very important. Because I think if you're too generalist, and you know, the downside of that is I am quite generalist because I've got experience in a million different areas in life and business, but you still have to, people want you to hone down into one specific, don't they? So I think clarity is very, very important. And that's what I was, you know, really looking forward to trying to get out of today, because I agree with what everybody else has just said.
Absolutely. Clarity is the name of the game. And as you will see me say it over and over and over again, the more clarity you have, the more specific your message is, the more magnetic your message is going to be to your audience. Because if you, this is the problem. Okay, just before I say that, this is a problem because a lot of people, they just want to help everybody with all of the issues. That's great, but that's something only God can do. All of us, we're not God, we're a piece of God. So what we need to do is focus on one specific pain point for one very specific person. And that's what we're gonna unpack today. Quasi, go ahead, brother.
I was just going to say, if you lack clarity, you lack focus. If you lack focus, you are dispensing your energy in unproductive ways. So clarity really helps you to focus in and to attract. The power of attraction, attract exactly who you need to attract to yourself versus anyone else.
Absolutely. Spot on, brother. Clarity, focus, results, impact. Absolutely. Pamela, I see you have your hand still up. Do you want to say something else?
Oh, sorry. No, sorry.
Okay.
I forgot to
All right.
lower it.
Anyone else wants to chip in, or should we move on? Nobody? Okay, let's keep going then. All right. So as I mentioned, over the last 4 years since I've been a podcaster and a mentor and a coach, this is the number one thing I've seen from everyone, from most coaches. They want to help everybody with all of the issues. Let me help you with your finances, your fitness, your relationships, your kitchen, your garden, your garage, and everything else under the sun. As I said, that's something that not even Tony Robbins can do. Maybe God can do. So what we need, as I said, one pain point for one person. And this is what we're going to dive in, because if you don't have clarity, then your message is going to be very vague. It's not going to resonate or connect with anyone. If your message doesn't connect with anyone, guess what's going to happen? You're not going to get any leads, no clients, no money, no business. No business, you will be facing the serious threat of shutting down your business and looking for a soul-sucking job. And that's where most entrepreneurs, you know, especially online, they fail, and they join the statistics that most 90%, 95% of businesses fail within the first year, because specifically that's one of the main reasons, clarity. Now, how do we fix that? And this is what is going to be the central point of what I'm going to be teaching tonight, and everything I do, and the challenge in my academy, and everything I do, even my talks. My recent TED Talk was specifically about that. So again, this is absolutely central. Having your zone of genius. Just like, you know, we all have our own, you know, life experiences, wisdoms, and all that. But there's one thing that we're really good at. One thing that really is part of our identity. Something that really, when that thing comes to mind, when people are talking about that thing, your name comes to mind. This is what we're going to talk about. So we're going to be looking today to identify your zone of genius and your true gifts. Here's my 4-step approach to building a profitable, not just podcast and with business also, and also how to identify your zone of genius. I'm going to explain that to you in a moment. Step number 1 is identifying what is your true zone of genius and true gifts. Once we have that, then we will be able to have clarity as what is the number 1 pain point you're solving and addressing, and for who. That's going to be your avatar. The more specific, the better. Ideally and ultimately, your avatar is a person that really resembles you as much as possible. Someone that really resonates with you, identifies with you, and even ultimately Your avatar is no other than yourself just a few steps ago. And I'm going to explain that to you in a moment. And once you've identified your zone of genius, what is the pain point you're solving, you have clarity on your avatar. The next step is to identify where is that person hanging out the most online and simply inviting them. One of the basic principles I employ for anything in life, and that is, I want all of you guys to memorize it. This is very powerful. And that is, never put yourself in a position to ask, beg, or chase. Instead, invite. Let me repeat that. Never put yourself in a position to ask, beg, or chase. Instead, invite. That applies to anything, not just business, but also your family, your kids, your spouse, your friends, your neighbor, anything. Just try that. It's going to reverse the table. So when you ask, beg, or chase, you're the one chasing. Sure, they may do it, but it's going to be, a hustle. It's going to be not fun. But instead, when you invite, you're the one being chased. You're the one that has the power. And this is what I'm going to be sharing with you how to do that. So let's move on. Now, how do we identify your zone of genius? There are 4 ways to really identify what is your zone of genius. The first way is to look at your professional background and experience. Let's say you've spent 10, 20, 30 years in whatever field or industry. That's the first obvious place to start because you deeply, intimately understand that industry. You speak the language, you know the pain point of that person. And guess what? You can build a very profitable business helping that person, basically helping you just a few steps ago. That's the first step to identify your zone of genius. The second way is if you have any, actually that's the third one. The second one is if you have any natural, innate, God-given talents. Some people are amazing with words, some people with the memory, some people with numbers, some people with music, sports, painting, writing, whatever. Find something that you've been naturally gifted with, and for you comes as a second nature. The third way is if you have any high income skill, such as selling, negotiating, copywriting, coding, anything like that, that people or have paid you a lot of money to do so, or can or will pay a lot of money. That's very important. You can build, or even if it's something as simple as, hey, you're very good at playing the guitar. There's plenty of people making a lot of money just teaching other people how to learn to play the guitar, any musical instrument or anything, or how to paint, how to draw. These are incredible skills that people are willing to pay all day. The last one, and that is the most common and the most popular, and I would even say the most impactful, and that is look at your life. Any major life challenges that you may have overcome yourself. Basically, your journey, your hero's journey. And as you will keep hearing me say over and over and over again, your crap is your gold. All the painful experiences, challenges, heartbreaks, betrayals, addiction, disease, tragedy, sure, they're very painful. You go to that, but then those become your story. Then your story becomes your gifts. Then your gifts become your duty and responsibility to share them with others. Because sure, we're all in here enlightened souls. We all understand that life is a school. We come here to learn, grow, and become better and wiser. But from my humble understanding, that's only 5% of why we are here. The 95% is taking those gifts, sharing them with others around you and around the world, so we can all collectively rise. So this is the most common, the most powerful, and the most impactful way to identify your zone of genius. So now let's take a few moments and brainstorm here. I'd love to hear a few of you just share which one of those 4 approaches applies the most to you when it comes to identifying your zone of genius. Again, number 1, your professional background. Number 2, if you have any natural, God-given natural talents. Number 3, any high income skill. And number 4, any major life challenges that you overcome yourself. So let's hear some people.
4.
Please raise your hand and say it. Srimi, go ahead, please.
I mean, I can identify with all 4, but I think overcoming major challenges is probably the thing that I can help with the most.
Absolutely.
When I look at my own story and helping other people.
Yes, that's one that is more impactful. Absolutely. Absolutely. Catherine, thank you, Srimi.
Yes, like Srimi also, being told by a health professional that you will never be able to function again. As a mother of 4 kids, and that's a shock when you get that kind of diagnosis. But helping people to understand that it's not true, that you can live the life that you want and without having to use meds is a passion that I have, be it emotional issues like panic attacks and anxiety, or physical issues. And this is what I need people to know, that when they understand how their mind works and how the body is interconnected, they can change that. They don't have to believe that diagnosis. They don't have to
Absolutely.
be.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. Arthur.
Yeah, I think despite all my many interests, including music and so on, the story is also what I've ended up focusing on. In fact, I was just listening to the one podcast episode I actually ended up recording. I never actually launched it, but it was from, like, you, a very shy kid, I used to say painfully shy, to speaking in front of 1,000 people in another language 5 years ago. And that all sorts of stories in and around that in terms of self-confidence and self-esteem and so on. So
yes, that would be a phenomenal topic to build a podcast around, helping other young men, for example, that are painfully shy, just like you and me when we used to be, helping them, basically showing them how you did it. And I'm going to expand on that for the rest of the week as well. Absolutely. That's beautiful. What other language was that when you did that talk?
It's actually in Catalan, although I do speak French as well,
Really?
and Spanish. Spanish, because I live in Spain. So,
amazing.
yeah.
And Catalan, of all languages. Wow. See, amazing people we have here. Awesome. Thank you.
I actually called my podcast the actual thing is, and I've evolved my whole approach to coaching. I call myself an inner peace coach.
Love
So
that.
that's really the sort of target there, and the base, the story is from that stress and overwhelm and anxiety caused by all those issues to an increasing amount of an increasing deep sense of inner peace and freedom. So
Love that. Love that. Love that. Thank you for sharing. Kwesi.
Okay, so I've never launched a podcast, but I will share where I think my expertise is, I guess. Starting with the list. Right, genius. Professional experiences, different ones. I was a child and youth worker, mentor, community leader for about 10 years. I transitioned into working with my federal government in the security industry. And then I became an entrepreneur with several businesses. Had a boutique media outlet, talent consultant, talent booking, and talent management, traveling internationally. And then I stopped to recalibrate and really just zone in on what I want to do, the impact that I want to have in the world. A lot of challenges came with that, transitions that we spoke about the other night, my brother. And something now that I'm really passionate about is helping others transform their emotional, mental pain and turn it into their message, their passion, their purpose, and transformation. So that's what I'm really passionate about right now. Just of my own story, dealing with over 15 years of dealing with mental and emotional issues, challenges, and mental diagnosis. And officially today saying I'm healed from all of them. And I live a more thriving and just real optimal lifestyle. Wasn't easy, but I'm here now. And I want to be able to share that message. I want to be able to encourage people and activate them in their purpose, activate them in their passion, and activate them in the impact that they could leave, not only in their own lives, but in the communities and generationally. So that really drives me and gets me up every morning. I want to talk about that. And that's what my podcast is most likely going to be about. Yeah.
I love
Activated change makers. That's the name of it. Activated change makers. That's what I'm passionate about.
You know, one thing that I remember from our powerful concert from yesterday, you said, "I'm not a coach, I'm an activator." I love that, the way you framed it.
That's correct.
I
That's
love that word.
correct.
And if I may, I will borrow it from you, brother.
Yeah, go ahead. Go right ahead.
All right, thank you. Thank you for sharing it.
Thank you.
Awesome. Who's next? Susie.
Oh, I'm not muted. I'm so sorry. It would be the last one, my journey, my story, that I'm not afraid to share in order to inspire other people that they're not alone, but also they can get through an awful lot of crap in their life. I seem to have become known locally for my resilience, and a lot, the word that most people say is inspiring, for the inspiration and the belief. And actually, when everybody's doing this, because when you think, oh, I'm inspiring, I'm this, I'm that, it's really quite awkward to say these wonderful things about ourselves. But I would just invite you to just go for it, let it out, speak about it without any fear of being judged, especially in this, because it's sometimes hard to show up and say, this is my zone of genius, so own it. And I'm now at my, I own it. And so, yes, I am inspiring. Yes, I am resilient. I'm a storyteller and I'm a mentor. I'm not a coach either, Kwesi. I'm a mentor. So I think it's the storytelling, it's the inspiration and the belief that I have in people, mature career women, until they can believe in themselves, because so many mature career feel helpless and even powerless. And that's not a good place to be, especially, in maybe the third act of your life.
Absolutely. That's very powerful. Thank you for sharing that. Pamela,
Mm.
and then Noreen.
Yeah, hi, I'm a holistic midwife and I have been for over 42 years. I've done over 2,000 deliveries. And because it became politically quite difficult to deliver home deliveries in France, I decided a couple of years ago that I wasn't going to do any more home deliveries. And so therefore I had to then focus as to what was I going to do. And that took me at least a couple of years to really decide what I wanted to do. Initially, I thought, yeah, I'll do the perimenopause, menopause. And then I thought, well, that's actually not addressing the problem. You need to address it much, much earlier. And so that's where my mission is there's so many women that do not understand their hormones, do not understand the monthly cycle. And my mission is to get people to understand it, integrate it, know it, and empower themselves with it, rather than being a victim to it. Too many gynecologists said, it's your hormones. Yes, it is your hormones. But if we know our hormones, we can manage our hormones and we can become so much more empowered. Now, the moment I'm doing 25 to 45 people, but my ultimate goal is to get into schools, because if you can start telling young adolescents, female and male, all about the different changes that are happening and understanding, then you can make a huge difference. That's my goal.
Awesome. Love that. That's very impactful. Thank you for sharing it. Noreen.
Right, where do you start? My zone of genius or my talent would be facing my biggest fear in my life was horses. Payman, when I spoke to you, I'm one of 12 siblings, so I'm the second youngest. So as a child, I was very shy and went through a lot of grief in my life, loss at a very young age. I suppose with a family of 12, there's always going to be some loss in the family. And as a very young child, I took on that role of actually protecting the family from the age of 6 and give away my power, everything. I didn't connect with myself. I was on survival mode all my life. Connected with the animals, loved them as a child growing up on a farm. They were my only escape. but had an incident with my horse at the age of 13 because it ran away with me. But I suppose that was my time in my life as a teenager. I wanted to run away from life, and that's what the horses were telling me at the time, but I didn't click into that, and I let the horses go until in my 40s I realized, when I came here to Epona, started connecting, and I had to face my fears. And my biggest fear was actually my horses, and they all came into me intuitively. They all landed all around me. Literally, I didn't have to go and search for them. They literally were across the road and they came into my life. And in the last 15 years, I have been intuitively connecting with them. My major challenge was that I was actually afraid of my life of them. And now, 15 years later, after working with them, I have opened my heart to connection, to love, found my inner power, found my voice. I can see where the boundaries, the controlling, everything, the horses have mirrored it right in front of me, and they have opened my heart to actually loving myself. And I suppose that's what my genius is showing people that we can face our fear, even though there's a horse running at you and you're standing in the middle of a field going, I love myself. Why would they do this to me? And they come in intuitively and tell you, if you can stand in a field with a horse, you can stand anywhere in your life and will not be knocked over. And that's that inner power. And I show people how to do that here in the land, is to mirror. It's literally they're mirroring you and showing you the strengths rather than your weaknesses. And they can show you. So yeah, so that's my true gifts and my challenges all here.
What a beautiful set of gifts. Love that. Thank you for sharing it.
Thank you.
David, you have your hands raised.
I don't think I can follow that from Noreen, actually. That was very wonderful and very heartfelt. And
Yes.
as have a number of people whilst going through this zone of genius, come across with some very deep, touching, personal references. But from my point of view, zone of genius, I concur with number one, because my professional background has given me a lot of experience. And number four, really, in terms of I've overcome a number of major challenges. Two of the three most favourite roles I've ever had in my working career have been taken away from me, not through my ability or through my achievements or success, but through other means, which don't have the time or depth to go into today. The talent that I really have, and a number of people, including Arthur, has made the comment about being painfully shy. I do have the ability to motivate people who are shy to become expert public speakers, and I have a track record and a background in doing that. And I also have what I want to achieve in life is I want to instill in people a better enjoyment in the workplace. And my skill with people really is motivation. And I see so many people who are unmotivated, who go to work, who just go through a process. Part of that is modern generation. Part of it is the society we've become. But I genuinely have a belief that I can help motivate people to enjoy and better their lives through work, because work is such a beautiful thing. I have to tell you honestly, the most enjoyable moments of my life have been as much work as anything else. So that's what my gift.
Wow, powerful. Love that. Thank you for sharing it, David. Absolutely love that. Michael, are you meditating? I saw you with your eyes closed. I hope you're not falling asleep.
Oh no, I just had my eyes closed so I could listen rather than get distracted by the visuals.
That's what I
but
do too, yes. When I focus, I
it's a
close my
listening
eyes.
meditation, I imagine.
Go ahead, brother.
So for myself, I'm a storyteller. I really believe in the power of story. A lot of the time people just try and tell, but the problem with just telling is the person isn't necessarily on receptor mode. So what a story does is it allows somebody to, one, relate and then soften, which then puts them on the receptor mode. And then the message is being taken by someone who's willing to take it. And my actual podcast that I'm already almost on season 2. So we're on
Oh,
episode
wow.
23, got released yesterday, which was with a member of the Hunikuin tribe. Thank you. And it's all about them sharing their stories. So the podcast is called Who on Earth? And it's who on earth are these people? Because if we can listen to their stories, well, there's many things between the human race which is ubiquitous. So guilt, trying to find purpose, shame, shyness, like you all keep saying, we've all got fears, and we'll see it in these different people's stories. Then I always think that their purpose, but their challenges they've overcome, their unique little moments in their lives will resonate with certain people. So I get a variety of different guests, but the whole aim is for them to share their story so that people can relate, then research into them more, find out what helped them so it can then help the listener, the watcher. So for me, it's all about my ability to share stories and tell stories and then bring that into the podcast itself.
Beautiful, beautiful. Share the name of your podcast inside the Facebook group so we can all take a look and give you feedback on it. Okay.
Sorry, what was that? I didn't catch that.
Put the name of your podcast in the Facebook group so we can all give you feedback.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that'd be great. There's definitely been a journey.
And give you some extra subscribers. You know what I mean?
You're more than welcome to watch it. Be appreciated.
Absolutely. Awesome. Thank you, everybody, for sharing. Does anyone else wants to pitch in that they haven't shared their zone of genius yet? Oh, sorry, rather, which one of these would apply to you when it comes to identifying your zone of genius? Did I miss anyone? I see Lubna, you're here, my friend. Do you want to share yours? Because I know you're an incredible human being with incredible gifts.
First of all, I just want to say well done on having the kind of energy you must have to actually attract the kind of people that I was listening to on this call. So I'm, super grateful to be in all of your companies, and
welcome.
I feel your energies, and so yeah, and it was all really, I think, revolving around a place of discovering self-love and having this somehow finding this mirror that effect to that, where you can find your own way of your own resonance and your own harmony, so you can radiate that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And yeah, so it takes a gratitude, and that's what you're all reminding me of. But there were so many things, obviously, we can clearly all talk about, and so it's an equilibrium.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for being here with us, because I know you're probably still fighting jet lag. So get some rest.
No, I'm listening and enjoying the scenery, and I hope if anybody is in the Brighton or the UK area, I'd love to connect.
Oh, yes, please.
Okay.
Yes, do that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Marika, let me guess. One of your zone of genius is smoothie, right? Go ahead, my friend.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi everyone. I think for me at the moment, like I have the professional experience, but I don't want to have that in my podcast, if I'm honest. Because I'm on a whole different journey at this moment in my life. My thing is definitely my journey. My actual journey that I'm going through is what I would want to speak about on my podcast. Like I don't have it just yet. But yeah, that's what I want to relate to. And then from that, I'm developing like my spiritual gifts at the same time. So this is like it feels like for me, it'll be like my journey of how I'm going through stuff, and also letting others know that this is normal. What you're going through, it's fine. I'm in it. I'm in the same boat as you. We can all go through this together. So for me, it's got to be like my hero journey to get people to relate and teach and grow.
Love that. Absolutely. That's a powerful one. Thank you for sharing. All right, let's move on. So another thing that is key for you, can help you with identifying your zone of genius, is look for something that you're really known in your circle for being the go-to person when it comes to that topic. So is there anything that your friends, family, people around you always come to you for advice on the topic for as long as you can remember? Some people are amazing with relationship advices. Some people will say investing, financial, whatever, fitness. Is there anything that you are the go-to person in your circle for that topic? If yes, that could be an amazing way to zone in on your zone of genius. For example, a hobby that you love geeking out on. That could be a great place as well. And also, one mistake we all do, myself included, is we tend to overlook some of our natural talents because they're nothing special for us. They're second nature. So do not discard anything. Anything that you, for example, that comes second nature for you, and because it's second nature for you, you don't value it, you don't appreciate it. Don't take it for granted, because that could be something that someone else is looking for. That's a gift that you've been blessed with. So look into that. I want you today after this call to take a piece of paper and do this little exercise. Take a piece of paper and write down anything that comes to mind pertaining to this. One thing that you're known for in your circle as a go-to person for that, or anything that you love geeking out on, or anything that for you, it's part of who you are, second nature. And again, do not discard anything, or even ask your best friend, your spouse, whatever, your neighbor, your dog, even if your cat, for some feedback on that. Hey, what is one thing that I'm really known for? What is one thing I'm really good at? And write it down and share it in the Facebook group to inspire others. This is how we all learn. And also, who knows, maybe that could be an amazing way for you guys to network, to collaborate, to partner, to co-create magic together. All right. This is very important, guys. Let's do that. Okay, next. So again, this is one of my favorite quotes. I said that. Well, I didn't invent it, but you know, your crap is your gold, literally. All the pain, all the challenges, all the tragedies, all the heartbreaks, the betrayals, abuse, trauma, addiction, all of that nonsense. Yes, they were very painful while going through them. But then, as I mentioned earlier, they become our story. Then our story becomes our gifts. And now we are in the space that now it's our duty and responsibility to share them with people around us and around the world. From my understanding, keeping your gifts for yourself is a crime, because gifts are not meant to be kept. They're meant to be shared. It doesn't cost you any money to share your gift, but it can literally not only make someone's day, but literally inspire and save them. So share your gift. Again, remember that your crap is your gold. The more powerful, the more painful, sorry, not powerful, the more painful the challenges that you may have overcome in your journey so far, those can be beautiful, incredible blessing in disguise. Here's one exercise that I will share with you that I do extensively inside the academy with my students. Take a piece of paper, map out your life. 7 columns. Look at, especially map out and write down the more painful chapters of your life. You don't have to write an essay, just 1 or 2 keywords for each chapter. And at the bottom, write these 2 questions. What is this trying to teach me? What is the lesson for me to learn to that? And once this piece of paper is completed, stare at it and see which one speaks the loudest to you in the most visceral way. The one that involves in you, that creates in you, so rather, the most vivid, painful, the strongest feelings. And you will know that this is what your greatest gift. Because again, the more painful the challenge you had to overcome and go through yourself, that is the more impactful, the more transformational gift that you have. Remember what I said earlier? And Susie, I think it was you, Susie, I mentioned again. It was Catherine rather. Don't make your business transactional. Make it transformational, meaning don't sell your time. There's always a ceiling. Don't sell your knowledge. Knowledge can be obtained pretty much for free nowadays, especially with Chat GPT and all those stuff. Instead, offer, don't sell, offer transformation. The bigger the transformation, the more impactful it will be, and the more you can charge for it. When what you offer, when your business is truly about transformation, then the cost is no longer an issue. Say, for example, you charge £100,000 to help a couple avoid divorce. It's a lot of money. But then, if what you're doing is helping a couple, avoid losing all the things they work for, literally saving millions of pounds for £100,000 is a no-brainer. So again, that's what I mean. Make it transformational, not transactional. Look at the first place to look to really identify a meaningful, impactful, purposeful, and very, very profitable zone of genius is look at your own challenges that you've overcome yourself. What is your hero's journey? That's what people want. Something that you went through, that you overcame, and now you're here now to help and teach others. When someone is looking for a coach, and as I mentioned yesterday and the day before, they're not looking to work with a disconnected billionaire. They want to work with someone who's 1, 2, 3, or 4 steps ahead of them. Someone that's connectable, reachable, relatable, and accessible. So that's what I mean. All right, let's move on. So now that we've done some foundational work on the zone of genius, now let's take that one step further. Now, let's identify what is your ideal listener, prospect, and client avatar. As I mentioned, ideally, your avatar is someone that resembles you as much as possible, that can identify with you, that can relate with you, that can resonate with you, so that when he or she sees your message, they will say, wow, that's me. I can relate with, I can resonate with, I can identify with that. I can see myself in that person. And even more so, ultimately, your avatar is no other than yourself. Build your podcast, build your business, your offer, your podcast the way you wish existed when you were starting on your journey just a few steps ago. The program that you guys are going through, the academy that I built, I've built them the way that I wished existed when I was starting. Because again, if you build your business and your podcast by default the way you wished existed, then the people that really resonate with you, identify with you, they will find you. They will come to you like magnets. Because again, it's not going to just speak to the heart. It's going to speak straight to the soul. Does that make sense, guys? So again, ideally, the first step to identify your avatar, someone who resembles you as much as possible, who looks like you, who resonates with you, who can identify with you. For example, me as a guy, can I become a successful coach teaching women how to go through pregnancy? Can I do that? Sure, I can learn it, but I can never really connect because that's something I will never be able to experience myself because I'm a man, I'm not a woman. So instead, the reason I'm saying this is if you're a woman, successful woman, why not help other successful women? I have had other students in the previous classes. One lady, she's built a very successful business helping Black Christian women in the US. Now that is very specific because she's a very successful woman of faith, Black woman. And now she's really a leader now. She's helping the other Black women in her community and around the US because when they see her, they say, wow, that's me. That's my older sister or my sister. Same thing for a man. If you're a man, identify, build your avatar. Again, your avatar is you. Help other men that fit the same profile as you as much as possible. So when he sees your message, he will feel like, wow, he understands me. He speaks my language. I can see myself in him. Does it make sense, guys? Because this is very important. So this is very important to be very specific. Yes, we all have big hearts. We all want to help everybody with all of the issues. But again, just like David very aptly mentioned that earlier, you need to be very specific as to who you're trying to help and with what pain point. And that's something I'm going to cover again later today and tomorrow. And then once you've done that, once you've identified your zone of genius, identified your avatar, you simply now build your offer, craft your messaging, your business, and your podcast around that zone of genius. You build all of that the way you wished existed when you were starting on your journey. So again, to summarize the two most important key points, your avatar is you, just a few steps ago when you were starting on your journey. Build your business, your offer, your podcast, the way you wished existed when you were starting on your journey. That's the gold right there. Does that make sense? Awesome. Love that. Arthur, go ahead.
Yeah, I just my thoughts on that. Obviously that's very helpful, and it's important to be as specific as possible, but equally we need to think outside the box as well. So my story includes a certain ambiguity as far as masculine feminine energy is concerned. So I always had more female friends than male friends, and my coaching clients are all female. So you may think at the beginning that you have a particular idea based on your own specific. I mean, the gender thing. If it's more about the experience. So my avatar, or my focus has more been about in building my offer has been more about how can I help with this issue, and it is exactly what you say about me a few steps ahead. But I've always had this I have coached men, but they tend to be more ones with more feminine energy, so I relate much more to that. So I'm just saying, so let's mix it up a little bit when we're as long as we have a good idea of who and how we're talking to and what that message is.
Yes.
And I think we can just it's what really resonates with your energy.
Yes, great observation. Yes, these are all guidelines for you to get you going. And when I started on my journey, my avatar was I wanted to work with conservative men, conservative male entrepreneurs in the 40s, because that's what I am. That's my avatar. But then just like you said, Arthur, within 2 weeks, I realized that 95% of my clients are women. So I had to adjust. This is to get you going. This is a blueprint to get you going. But then again, the most important data is the data you're getting from the people who are paying you. So be very open to that data and pivot accordingly as soon as you gather more data. But what I shared is just to get you going on the right track, because you need to have a starting point.
Yeah, and then I don't want to contradict anything about what you said. You clearly need to start with that. Absolutely.
All right, awesome, cool. We're on the same page. Thank you. Yes, awesome. So again, your avatar is you, just a few steps ago, and build your business, build your offer, build your podcast the way you wished existed when you were starting on your journey. This is very important. All right, next. Let's dive deeper into what is your ideal listeners, prospect, and client avatar. Again, someone very, very specific. The more specific, the better you will be, because the more specific you are, the more magnetic your message will be. And the more magnetic your message will be, the more it's going to connect with them. The more it's going to connect with them, the more it's going to be open to doing business with you. As opposed to if it's too vague, it's not going to connect with anyone, not connect anyone, no leads, no clients, no money, no business, then JOB. That's the ultimate reality. So again, we need to look as who's the very specific person that you can help at the highest level. That's why it's important to have the utmost clarity about first your zone of genius and then your avatar. And that's going to determine your offer. The offer is what we're going to do tomorrow. And I'm going to be bringing my coach, very successful coach. He does that. High seven figure, close to 8-figure coach is going to be here tomorrow for us. But anyway, so that's going to do tomorrow. And again, to determine that, we need to go back to your zone of genius, to your special skill, talent, to a challenge that you've overcome yourself, so that you can help the person who's going through what you went through not long ago. Again, your podcast, your business is going to be about, if your zone of genius is about the challenges that you overcame yourself, and these would be the ones that are the most impactful, the most profitable, the most meaningful, then you will be like a big brother, big sister, just stretching out to the person who's going through what you're going through right now and say, hold my hand. I will get you out. I will guide you. I will be with you. I am here for you. That's the ultimate job you have to do. To help someone who's going through what you successfully overcame, that's going to be the most impactful, purposeful, and profitable business you can build. Does that make sense? Awesome. Cool.
May I ask a question,
Please.
At the beginning of my podcast, it's all quite positive, and it's about people who are on their journey and living a spirited life and their journey to achieving this. Should we put, when we're talking about this, what our pain point, where we were, because we actually want to attract the people who are there in that space at the moment, they haven't reached the great space. Should we actually sort of, how do we address that in the introduction to our podcast, or should we touch on that? Because, well, anyway, that's the question.
Yeah, great question. So this is something that I cover in detail inside the Academy, but I can explain that to you in a nutshell. What I recommend is record an episode. Is going to be episode 0. And that's going to be you introducing yourself. Keep it short, 10, 20 minutes. Who are you? Why are you starting this podcast? What's your background? Who is this for? How they can benefit from? And you can reference to that not only as your starting podcast for people to get to know you, but also you can use that on your website. Even I've seen people put it on their Calendly before you book a call. Hey, please watch this video about me to get to know me.
Okay.
Yes,
Brilliant.
this is episode 0.
Okay, thank you.
It's just especially, very welcome. Especially if you do on your podcast, if you do what I seen the most success with, and myself seen the most success with, interviewing their prospects. I would recommend episode 0. Just you, just introducing yourself. What's your name? What's your background? Why are you starting this podcast? What are the challenges you overcome? For who is it and how they can benefit the most? Keep it short, 10, 20 minutes, not an hour, because unless you're someone very famous, nobody's going to listen to that. But say 10, 20 minutes, keep it short, sweet, to the point. And then there's many ways you can repurpose that. You can put that to some of those AI platforms to make highlights and reels from that and use that on your social media. So there's many ways you can do after that. I'm not going to get into that because that can get a bit technical, but to answer your questions, just make an episode 0, just introducing yourself.
Thank you. Brilliant. Thank you.
Very welcome. Awesome. Again, the main point here, guys, is the more specific your messaging, the person and the pain point that you're solving, addressing to your offer, to your business, and ultimately to your podcast, the more magnetic your message will be. The more magnetic your message will be, the more profitable your business is going to be. That's the bottom line. All right, now let's brainstorm as to what is your podcast about. So we have identified so far your zone of genius. We've identified also the specific person that your business, your offers, and your podcasts are addressing. And as I mentioned earlier, the more specific and more magnetic your message and offer are, the more powerful they will be. So and honestly, the more the clarity, it all comes back to clarity. Clarity, being specific, that's what's going to make or break not just your podcast, because your podcast is just the podcast is the platform where you're going to be sharing your story, displaying expertise, but ultimately this is what's going to make or break your business and how profitable it's going to be. This is what people can really relate with. All right. Who's there? Michael, go ahead. Let's keep it short because there's still a lot to cover. Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, it's only a quick one. So you're speaking very much about being specific, but I'm thinking of my top 4 podcasts that I like, and every single one has quite an eclectic mix of guests on it. And I couldn't identify what specifically their fingers. So I'm a bit curious why they're doing so well if they're not being specific.
That's a great question. What I'm teaching you here, guys, is how to make money through podcasting by building a podcast around your zone of genius. The number one thing that you're really good at, something that you really sets you apart. So if you've been blessed with having an amazing life with incredible experiences, that's a different story. You can talk about many things. But even if you've been blessed with that, but what is the number one thing? What is your zone of genius, your true zone of genius, your true gift? And then build your business, build your offer around that. For example, my podcast, I have guests from all over the world. I've had actors, business people, executives, Olympians, former Olympians, and so on and so forth. Because I love listening to incredible people. But again, I'm very selective who I bring in. I only invite my prospects. Because again, I'm building a podcast not for a hobby. If you want to build a podcast for a hobby, collecting amazing people, that's fine. But I want to make money. Because when I started, I was broke. I had to make money. So I've found a way to monetize a podcast. And by monetizing, I don't mean getting peanuts from Google and YouTube. I'm talking about high ticket clients, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,000 pounds, dollars, and euros. That's what I'm talking about. Do you want to build a podcast to make money, or do you want to build a podcast to look cool and have amazing guests? Now, that's going to be based on what situation you're in life yourself. If you're already a millionaire and super financially set, by all means, go that. But if you want to build a foundational business, going to really take care of yourself and give you the platform to amplify your impact, then that's a different approach. And what I'm sharing here is how to leverage podcasting, even if you have no audience, without spamming, how to get your first paying client in as little as 60 days from the moment your podcast is launched. That's what I'm talking about. It's a completely different approach. Yes, it's all speaking from the heart, but ultimately it's all about making money, because we're all here to make money, but in an impactful, meaningful, purposeful way. Does that answer your question, brother?
Yeah, helps me understand.
Awesome, cool, thank you. Let's get going. All right, so this is this. So here's some powerful reminders. As I mentioned earlier, make your business and your podcast transformational, not transactional. Business, especially high-ticket offer, is all about one thing and one thing only: trust. If I'm selling this mug on Amazon or any store for, say, £5, £10, whatever much it sells in the UK, you like it, you buy it. You don't need to know me. You don't care about me. But if you're looking to invest 1,000, 2,000, 3, 4, 5, 10,000 pounds, then you definitely want to know me, talk to me, and have these 3 key questions answered. Is this person competent? Can I trust him or her? And number 3, and that's a big one, can I do it? Your number one job as a coach, as a mentor, as an activator is to make your prospect believe that they can do it. The moment you achieve that, game over. The sale is in the pocket. Does that make sense? Okay. Number 3. People want to work with someone with 1, 2, 3, at most 4 steps ahead of them, not a disconnected billionaire. Sure, it would be cool to work with a billionaire and take those amazing selfies for clouds and all that. But ultimately, they live in a completely different reality, different sets of problems. What people want, as I said, someone that has recently successfully overcame what they're currently going through, and someone that they can identify with, relate with. And that's why it's important that I mentioned that your avatar should be someone that resembles as much as possible as you, someone that ultimately you, just a few steps ago. But the main thing is someone that is relatable, reachable, and accessible. I'm sure most of you guys have been in programs where after you paid, good luck trying to get in touch with the actual person that actually is behind the program. And this is why I keep not only these challenges, but also my academy, paid academy, small in numbers, so I can work with each and every single one of you almost on a one-on-one basis. If there were 200 people in this Zoom, it would be like a 5-hour call if I were to do the same thing, as many people as you interact. But because we're like 15 people, I can do that. And this is what is very important. You want to be able to help the person you're helping at the highest level. And that's why they want someone that's reachable. So again, these are very important. I'll send you the slides, and make sure that you do you answer the question, do the brainstorming, because this is what's going to be the foundation of not just your podcast, your business, your offers, and ultimately your podcast is going to be the marketing arm, so to speak, of your business. What we're doing here, we're not just launching a podcast. We're building the foundation to build a profitable, impactful, purposeful business. The podcast is going to be the platform where you're going to be connecting with your audience. So that's what I'm doing. All right. This is part of part one. Let's take half time, 1 minute. Gonna get some water. And then the second part is going to be showing exactly how to launch your podcast and 3 easy steps. So let's take a quick 1 minute break. And then I'll be right back. Any questions so far? Sorry, I forgot to mention that. Or we should keep the questions to the end. And after that, when I come back, I'm going to fly through because I'm aware it's been an hour and a half already. So 10, 15 minutes, and we're done. I'm just going to refill my cup and I'll be right back. Okay. All right. Okay. All right, are we back? How's it going so far?
Good. I actually had while we're waiting for people to come back, I've just been uploading this one episode that I recorded a couple of years ago now, and I thought I might share it in the group, it's kind of actually more like an episode 0, what you would say. I call it episode 1, but
Yeah, sure.
a little bit longer than 20 minutes, but hopefully it provides some value as well as telling my story. So I'll be interested to get any feedback on that, to say,
Sure.
You're completely barking up the wrong tree, or
Yeah.
I don't think so. I hopefully got the main thing right. The thing was, I actually amazed myself by recording it all in one take. It's only audio at this point because I was still thinking only about audio podcasts at the time.
Listen, you're never gonna be barking the wrong trees, because the people that are meant to find you, they will find you. And for these people, your message will be, wow, exactly what they're looking for. The people that don't resonate, that's fine. You don't need the entire world to be your audience.
That's kind of why I was ended up going with it, because everyone, lots of people kept on saying, you've got to do a podcast, especially with the voice and so on. When I was selling my own software web business, just being on the call with people, I got feedback from that saying, at least from the female clients that I was talking to. So I know somebody, I've got to do something with that. But I've combined, so it's very subdued. So I know a lot of podcasts are really dynamic and things, and that's fine. I can do that as well, but my default thing is more the calm, and of course I think it goes with the inner peace thing, and I've combined it with the music I wrote and recorded. So we'll see.
Awesome. Yeah, post it away. We'll give it, everybody's gonna give it, we're gonna have a look. And if you have a podcast, share your podcast on the Facebook group so you can all give you a subscribe. And I'll also post my channels. If you don't mind, just subscribe to my channel too. I would love that. All right, cool. Are we ready to get going for the second half? It's going to be a lot shorter because it's going to be pretty straightforward. All right, let me share my screen. You guys see my screen? All right, cool. Okay, so I'm going to be sharing with you my exact proven blueprint to launch your podcast in 3 easy steps. If you were just to implement that, you can launch your podcast today. Seriously. So step 1 is foundations. Step 2 is all the tech side, the equipment. And step 3 is all about launching. So let's take a look quickly. First of all, number 1, why do you want to start a podcast? What's the message you're trying to convey through your podcast? What are you trying to serve? Who's your ideal avatar? Then choosing the right name and type of name for your podcast, because there's different ways to label your podcast. The length, the format of your podcast. There's podcasts of every different length. There's some podcasts that less than 5 minutes, like the Frank Kern, mega superstar in terms of marketing. He was one of the first marketers that did $1 million launch way back in 2004, 2005. For those of you who know him, Frank Kern, his podcast is 4 minutes. But then you have Joe Rogan, 4 hours, and everything in between. Mine is about an hour. So the length of your podcast, that's not a random decision. Nothing is random. Everything is very strategic. All of these, why do you want to start a podcast? What's your message to convey? We're trying to help with what pain point. These are all key strategic decisions, and everything builds upon the previous. It's like building a house. Nothing is random. And then the last part is getting the right people and high quality guests for your podcast. This is the first step, the foundation, very important. The second part is about the tech and equipment. So what kind of, not only the equipment, environment, all that, but also your environment is going to be very important. You need to be in a place that is quiet, there's no distractions. That is very important. That goes without saying. The equipment, what kind of microphone, headset, accessories, and all that good stuff, all the tech specs, requirements, and then putting it all together. Most of you, as long as you have a recent computer less than 3 years old, you've got all the tech already in front of you. The only thing you need is just a microphone. And the good news is you can get a very good starting microphone for less than $100 on Amazon, which is what, 65, 70 pounds, or as you guys would say, quid. So get it, okay? We in North America would say $70, but you guys say quid, so same. All right. The tech side. So the microphone you see right here, this is what started my journey. This is the Samsung Q2U microphone that I bought on Amazon back in March of 2020 for about 63 US, 50 pounds, 83 Canadian dollars way back. It's a very good starting microphone. So you don't need to invest a lot of money in equipment. As far as other equipments, you don't need much, just a microphone, headphones. I used to use headphones, but now I don't use anymore because again, mine were bulky, too long, and the only time you really need a headphone is when you're doing a lot of heavy editing, and I don't like doing editing because it's extra work for me. I can count on one, maybe now two hands, the number of times I had to do editing in over 360 episodes of my podcast. So keep it simple. Zoom is your best friend to start with, and then once you get better and more sophisticated, you can look into other softwares and platforms, but don't get too stressed about that for now. Just keep it simple. Step 2, recording your podcast. Again, ensure all equipments are properly connected and plugged. You'd be surprised how many people don't do that. I was guilty of that myself initially. My microphone wasn't plugged in, and then when I listened to it, oops, why does it sound so bad? That even happened to me just recently. Or you get distracted. That happens. So make sure before you go live, before you actually record, to check everything is working. That you're in a quiet environment. Ensure everything is properly connected. Test drive everything. Here's a big one. Some people asked me in the academy recently, and also that's a common question. Should you have an outline? Should you have a set of questions? One of the first things I always say is never speak from a script. Don't even speak from here. Speak from here. Have heart-to-heart conversation. Sure, I have an outline, guideline. For me is, what's your story? What's your background? What's your impact? What's your business? Keep it conversation. Don't make your podcast, just like I said, don't make your business transactional, make it transformational. Same thing for your podcast. Don't make it an interrogation. Make it a conversation. Just like you have conversation all day with people around you, around a cup of tea, whatever. Usually I start with that question. So, what's your story? And just take it from there. See where it takes you. Sure, I have a list of questions. I have a list of questions, but then I ask the ones that make the most sense the way the conversation is going. Keep it fluid. Have an outline, but always speak from the heart. That's my 2 cents on that. Next, here's a big one, editing and uploading. Yes, editing is not hard, but there is a learning curve. But the good news is YouTube is your best friend. YouTube is the greatest university in the world, and it's free. I was not a techie myself. I learned everything I needed to learn through YouTube. And the best way I recommend to learn, and the most effective way, don't just watch videos or tutorials passively. Watch, pause, do, resume. Because if you're watching a video, say it's 10 minutes, if all you did was just watch passively, I can guarantee you will spend an hour or 2 hours trying to rewatch it. What was that? What was that? You will get confused. Instead, watch, pause, do, resume, go along. Sure, that 10-minute video is going to be like 20, 30 minutes, but that's much better than 2 hours and still being confused. So this is what I would recommend to really learn anything you want. You can even get access to literally lectures from Harvard and Oxford for free on YouTube, and even from MIT. If you really want to look at it, you can find anything you want on YouTube nowadays. Even these major universities are uploading their lectures for free because it's marketing for them. You're getting the knowledge, you're not getting the certification. You're not getting the networking, the connections. That's what people pay for. That's why the most valuable thing is any education, whether it's this event or even in a conference, even in a super expensive degree. It's the people you meet, the connection, the networking. The piece of paper is icing on the cake. The knowledge, most of it, sure, you will learn things, but they're not rocket science. They're not revolutionary. But what people pay for is the networking. I had to pay a lot of money just to get access to key people. And it's okay because you know what? They're worth it. They open up new worlds for you. Anyways, so again, this is pretty straightforward depending on what type of system you're using, whether it's Mac or if it's Mac, you can use GarageBand, Audacity, both of which are free. If it's Windows, God help you, I have no idea. I haven't used Windows in 12 years. I'm just joking. It's probably called Audacity. You can still use it on Windows. I do all my editing on my computer using iMovie on my Mac. I don't know what is the latest software for Windows. I think it's called Windows Video Maker or something like that. So just watch, look into your computer, and if you're not sure how to use it, again, ask Uncle YouTube, Uncle Y. He's gonna help you, he or she, depending on how you want to look at it. Okay, the headphones. The only time, again, that you will need headphones is if you do heavy editing. Me being me, I don't like to create extra work for myself. I don't do any editing unless the person asks me, oh, can you please remove this part? In that case, yes, I will do editing. There's some other things you can do to make your podcast more professional, more polished, such as adding show notes, episode summaries, timestamps, transcriptions, contact info, and all that good stuff. That's something I highly recommend because otherwise your podcast is going to be pretty raw and pretty unprofessional. And these are things that you can easily learn how to do that. Yes, they will be very time consuming, especially with the timestamps. Mine, initially, I did it myself. It took me 2 hours per episode. Now I have someone that I've been using for the past few years. He's amazing. I just send him the videos, he do it for me, and it's beautiful. So the editing, again, is not hard, but there is a time learning curve, and it can be time consuming. So you can either do them yourself or you can hire someone. There's loads of freelancers, even there's actual professional podcasting agencies that specialize in just doing stuff for podcasts. So there's solutions at every level, every budget that you may be in. But initially, what I recommend is just do them yourself so you can understand the process. And when you get to a place where you can afford to hire someone, you understand the process. So it's going to not only be much more easier for you to communicate what you want, but also to reduce and eliminate the risk of being taken for a ride. Okay, so I just mentioned that. So let's move forward. The hosting, yes. The video podcast is mostly on YouTube. The audio, you can have a hosting platform such as there's so many others. The one I use is called Podbean. I just upload my audio to my Podbean dashboard. And from there, from one click, I share them to all the other platforms. So again, find the one that makes the most sense for you. There are options that are free. Podbean is a free one, but because my episodes are pretty long, I need more bandwidth. So I pay about $15 a month, and it's pretty good for me. Yeah, the directories, that's something that you can apply once initially, such as you can apply it once you have a hosting, such as Podbean, for example. You upload your audio from your computer to Podbean, to your Podbean account, and from there, the first time that you do that, you will need to apply to Apple, Spotify, Google, iHeartRadio, and so on and so forth. It's pretty straightforward. They have tutorials, very easy, just fill information, and you should be approved shortly. Usually as long as you have a clean account with them, within a few hours, you should be approved. I've heard of some people applying from some exotic countries. It took them up to 2 weeks, but from the UK, from Europe, from any Western country, should be approved within a few minutes to a few hours. So step 3 is about launching a podcast the right way so that you can start getting leads with it within 30 days of launching, even if you have no audience and without spamming or ad spend. So what I would recommend when it comes to launching effectively and successfully your podcast, before going live, I highly recommend you have at least 10 episodes recorded so that when someone is looking to explore a new podcast, give them some material to binge listen, to binge watch. This is what people do. If you have less than 5, it's not sending a right message to the prospective listeners. This person is not serious. But if they see you have 10 or more episodes, they'll be much more likely to feel this person is committed and they have more content to really get to know you. So record at least 10 episodes before going live, and use social media to promote your upcoming podcast launch. You know, you can go on other podcasts. You can contact your friend, family, your neighbors, and so on and so forth. You can do press releases. You can do a lot of stuff to really build up momentum and build up hype for your launch. I just mentioned some of them. Okay, yes, important to have a website for your podcast so you can collect emails. Yes, emails are very important. As I said, you can do cross promotions and joint ventures with other audiences, press releases. That's one of the most best kept secret that not many people are doing. But press releases, especially the right press release, can literally take put your podcast and your business on the map once and for all at the highest level. And then you can go on a podcast tour. That's something that I'm very excited. I'm going to be bringing to you guys on Friday on day 5. My good friend from California, Misha Zvegintsov, he's an expert when it comes to podcast growth. He's going to show you how to go on a podcast tour. We can go on, say, 50 podcast episodes of your exact ideal clients in the next 100 days. He's going to come and do a talk on that on Friday. So that's exciting. I'm some very exciting guests for you. Tomorrow, my coach, Jay Lee, is a super salesperson, sales closer he sells without selling, without being salesy or sleazy, because he has a background as a pastor. So he sells from the heart. And on Friday, Misha on how to go on a podcast tour. So getting leads and clients to your podcast, YouTube channel, even if you have no audience. So you'll be able to, once you have your podcast launched, the way I show you, and as little as 30 days of launching your podcast or YouTube channel, even if you have no audience, you can start getting leads on demand, and depending how good your offer is and how you can connect and build trust with people, get clients right away. So how is that possible? Let's take a look. So there's 2 ways to monetize, so to speak, a podcast or YouTube channel. The traditional, outdated, obsolete, and surprisingly, the most common way that most people are not only doing, but also teaching others, and that is build a massive audience and make money through downloads, views, and sponsorship or AdSense. Again, that's beautiful, but that applies only to celebrities, people with massive audiences, or people who are renowned world-class experts with multiple PhDs after their names. For someone, normal person like me, and I don't know about you guys, but when I started, I had none of this. So unless you have one of those 3 things already a celebrity, a massive existing audience, or a massive reputation in your field, it's going to take you 5 to 10 years to build an audience big enough so you can make money to what Google and YouTube pay you. YouTube pays you, I believe, depending on what niche your YouTube channel is and your podcast. They have a cost per 1,000 that varies depending on the niche. So, and also depending on where is your audience. So if your audience is mostly, say, from the UK, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, US, and it's saying the financial words, then you're going to get the highest cost per 1,000. But if most of your audience are from, say, Nigeria or the Philippines, you're going to get peanuts. You're going to get literally $1 for 10,000 views. So you need to have a massive, get millions of views to make any amount of money to even just cover your needs. Whereas the way I show it is a different way. Again, we identify your zone of genius. We identify what's the number 1 pain point you're solving based on your zone of genius. Identify who's your ideal client and avatar. We identify where they hang out and simply invite them so we can build trust, rapport on the podcast. And once you build trust, then the doors open to doing business, wallets opens, opportunities open, and so on and so forth. This is my approach. I go to that in extensive details over 4 weeks inside my academy. I will have an invitation for you guys on Friday. It's not a pitch, but an invitation to come join the academy if you want to take this further to really help us implement that for you. But by just what I'm sharing with you, you can go ahead and start building a profitable podcast. You can get leads. And ultimately, depending on how good is your offer, again, come tomorrow, because tomorrow is going to be all about building an irresistible offer. My coach Jay is going to come and talk about that to us. Yeah, so you do what I'm telling you, you will see success. It's proven. The numbers don't lie, and I will share that to you tomorrow. So here's some more reminders. Remember what I said, never put yourself in a position to ask, beg, or chase, instead invite. This is very important. This is very important. Again, identify your true zone of genius and gift, identify your exact ideal listeners, identify where they hang out, and simply invite them onto your podcast. This is a four-prong approach to my system, to basically building a profitable podcast and YouTube channel from scratch, even if you have no audience. But again, you have to be very selective as to who you invite in. You can't invite randoms, because we're building a podcast for business, not for a hobby. So yeah, this exact method that allowed me to get out of the hole that I was myself, get me to 100 clients with a YouTube channel. Now my channel is about 1,409 subscribers just a few minutes ago. But I was able to get 6 clients in my first weekend and then 60 clients in 10 months using this exact approach. This works, guys. This is not theory. It works. So now you have 2 options. You can either say, well, this is cool, but it's not for me, and just do nothing, keep on your merry ways, and try banging your head against the wall, just using the same way you've been doing all this time. Or you can say, hey, and you can ask yourself one very powerful, life-changing question. That is, how can I implement that for my business? How can I get leads on demand from my podcast, even if you have no audience, so you can get clients and all that good stuff? And that is, I have an invitation for you. Get on a call with me. It's not a sales call. It's a call to brainstorm, to identify not only your zone of genius, but also to see how we can implement having a profitable podcast for your business. We're going to brainstorm together, half an hour. Again, it's not a sales call. It's a brainstorming call. And if it makes sense for you, if it's a good fit, then we can take it further. But I don't sell. I don't pitch. I invite. Remember what I said just a couple of slides ago? Never put yourself in a position to ask, beg, or chase. Instead, invite. That's what I mean. So here, I will share my Calendly on the Facebook group. Book a call with me. It's right here. I will share the slides with you guys. Book a call with me this week. I'll clear my Calendly. Book a call with me for this week, or early next week. Next week, I'm traveling on Thursday. So Monday, Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week would be best to book a call with me if you want to brainstorm. And that's it. So we completed day 4. And before we finish, I just want to give you a quick sneak peek into tomorrow's menu. Tomorrow is all going to be taking what we've done today, identifying your zone of genius, identifying your avatar. And tomorrow we're going to build your Godfather irresistible offer. We're going to build your laser-focused Godfather offer. We're going to further brainstorm as to what is the #1 pain point your podcast, your offer, your business going to address and solve. And I'm going to introduce to you a game-changing principle. That's what really changed my business and my life, and that is having a quantifiable, measurable end result. I'm going to expand on that tomorrow, because that we can do an entire 4-week program just on that, your quantifiable, measurable end result. And I'm going to explain that to you in detail tomorrow and on Friday. And last but definitely not least, I'm really proud and honored to have my coach tomorrow, Jay Lee, the sales ninja. I paid him $10,000 last year. The same program now is $25,000. And he has a one-on-one VIP coaching for 6 months at $65,000, and he has a waiting list. So this guy is a real deal. You guys will see tomorrow. Make sure you're tomorrow, because this is going to be the point I'm saying is getting better each day. So yeah. So before we finish, let's bring any questions you guys may have. Let me stop sharing the screen. Okay, bring on your questions, guys. Let's hear some questions. Arthur, go ahead.
Yes. So as you were speaking there, I mean, I hadn't really thought in detail about how I might bring guests on, because at the beginning it was basically different elements of what I do or have done for clients, and published a little ebook again, about 18 months ago. But so in terms of approaching my existing circle, most of my existing circle would be people that I might work with rather than people who have already achieved what I'm talking about. So I'm just wondering, thinking laterally a bit, and it's a bit of a high risk strategy perhaps, but I have thought about doing live coaching sessions that are recorded. So I mean, that would be the ultimate in testimonial, wouldn't it?
Actually, there's one guy, I don't know if you heard of him, is one of the biggest names out there in the coaching industry. He's one of the only guys that actually follow because it's real deal. His name is Dan Henry. Have you heard of him? Anyway, so this guy, what he does now, he's retired. He's made like what, $80 million, whatever. He's retired now. He's living his life, just fishing and traveling the world and enjoying cigars and wine and steak and just having a good time while raising his son. But what he says is wait, wait a second. What I was saying? Oh yeah, one thing he has that has really helped him. He has a separate YouTube channel where he literally rips people's offers. He goes on YouTube, he interviews them. He says, okay, tell me your offer, pitch me, sell me. And he just laughs at them. He doesn't hold back. He literally tears them apart. But he gives them incredible insight. This guy's zone of genius is creating on the fly incredible offers. Highly recommend you guys. I can share the link to his YouTube channel. Watch his videos where he actually crushes the offers of people, and then on the fly, he literally creates the marketing for them. The speech. Sorry, not the speech. The pitch. He's incredible at creating pitches on the fly. Highly recommend you guys. I will share one of his YouTube channels. Watch it. It's literally pure gold. So this is what this guy does. This is what you just mentioned. But again, he's able to do it because he's already very successful. He has a very big following and people know it. So you need to have some kind of a clout if you want to either critique people's offers on the fly, give them live coaching, but you got to start somewhere.
I mean, the coaching, because I mean, the experience I have is talking to lots of people where I have exploration calls where, again, it's all about invitation. If there is something at the end, I'll just have a conversation with them, listen to their pain, and help. They go away with a higher level of peace than they started. So I mean, I do that privately. So why not do it publicly?
Absolutely. Even for the first 2-3 people, tell them, hey, listen, I'll do it for free for you. Give them incredible results, and then say, hey, would you mind giving me a testimonial? And then start charging.
The only slight problem, of course, is that a lot of those calls, now I think about it, are very personal. So people tend to open up to me very quickly. So I'd have to be careful, and not many people would want to be sharing their own vulnerabilities. So I might need to think.
That's a great point. If people are reluctant in sharing not only intimate details about themselves and showing their face, what you can do is just this. Look at what I'm doing. Do you see what I just did?
Yeah.
You just turn off the camera, so you don't. All you can do is just hear them. This is the easiest act. Because I've had other clients, other students that deal with very touchy subjects like divorce, addiction, alcoholism. Let's say you're a successful business person or corporate, and you're struggling with drinking. Of course, you don't want your boss or anyone to know that, hey, you have a booze issue. So one way to go over that is, hey, just do this, just do audio. Very simple. But yeah, love the idea. Love the idea. Do some live coaching. Maybe do the first few for free and then give them results, get testimonials, and start charging. Awesome. Let's take a few questions before we leave. Pamela. Can't hear you. Unmute yourself, please, Pamela. We can't hear you. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I just want to thank you so much. This is my second challenge with you, and I've just learned so much. Things have just got it sunk in for the second time. You know, you said it before, but I just got so much benefit from it, and I just want to thank you so much.
Well, it's all mine. Pleasure's all mine. That's what I love doing. I'm happy to hear that. Thank you. Thank you. And, just like the cheesy line, but wait, there's more. Come back tomorrow on Friday.
I'm going.
Absolutely. Awesome. Let's take one or two more questions before we call it a day. It's been 2 hours of amazing conversation. Question. Couple more questions for the road, as we say. Quasi, any question, brother?
Just if you could just affirm, you're getting to understand how my brain thinks. I think in systems, formulas, paraphrasing. So I put it in the chat today. It's attraction, connection, and impact. The impact through storytelling and prosperity is also one of the impacts, right? Would you say that it's a very broken down? I understand that, but would you say that equates to what you're explaining today on dates 2 or 3? Yes.
3.
Attraction, connection, impact. Right.
And I would
Because
add
again,
activation. I would add activation too.
Oh, I appreciate you. Thank you for that, brother.
Very welcome. Very welcome.
Thank you for that. And again, it's to the purpose of what it is that you're showing us, what you're teaching us as entrepreneurs, as service providers, is to have a profitable podcast. Hold on a second.
No worries.
Excuse my background. So it's to have a profitable podcast. We're not launching this for fun. We're not launching this for recreation and for case studies. We're launching this to, again, the impact through profit. That's also an impact.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
thank you.
Listen, you've built a life. You've spent a life of learning lessons. Now you've earned the right to charge for it.
Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely.
I agree. Today has been again, value, and we talked about it in our first conversation. Always providing value, and I appreciate that. You landed it again today, brother.
Thank you. I appreciate that. See you tomorrow and see you on Friday. Catherine.
Yes, Payman, thank you so much. I'm so glad I made it. I didn't know I was going to make it. I had to shift an appointment. I'm glad I did. My question is, I just hope I got it right. So if I would have a podcast, I would invite people to my podcast that are having the same mindset, that are providing value to my listeners. Did I get it right? So people who also help holistically, who help to promote healing without meds. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Basically, once you've identified your zone of genius, once you've identified your avatar, you've identified where is that person hanging out, and you simply invite them. Basically, what I've been doing is I've been interviewing my prospects. That's what I mean. I'm very selective who I bring in. I only interview my prospect because I use my podcast as a platform to get my foot in the door, to have heart-to-heart conversation, to get to know each other so we can build rapport and trust. And through that trust, that's when the doors open to doing business. That's how I've been able to get clients with a very, very, very small audience. When I started, I had no audience. And this is basically you interview your prospects. So you can also do a mix to provide further value to your audience. You can, if you go all in, you do one podcast episode a day, Monday to Friday, so 5 episodes a week. You can do a mix of, say, three or four interviews of your prospect and one with an expert in the area to further provide value to your audience. That's something you can do. Or you can also do a ratio of 1:3:1, one being you providing value, updates, announcements, tips. Especially if you're a professional in your industry, you can talk about best practices or what's in the news in the industry. Three of those episodes can be interviewing your prospect, and one can be bringing in an expert. So the ratio, there's many ways you can have a ratio of how you want to structure your podcast. It's your podcast, it's your business, you call the shots. But ultimately, if you want to make money, interviewing is the best way to go, because this is how you're getting leads on demand. You identify what's your pain, what's your zone of genius, you identify what's your avatar, we identify where is that person hanging out, and you simply invite them on the podcast. That's it. That's a very simplified view of the profitable podcast method.
So what I'm hearing, correct me if I'm wrong. So it's people who are still struggling with their conflicts, who are
Yes,
not where they need to be yet.
that's it.
So
Because again, these are your
giving them
prospects.
space, yeah, giving them space to talk about their pain. So I'm not actually helping them in that moment. It's just allowing them to express themselves in that moment. But I will not be sharing any tips or values because it's about them. Or
Yes.
so how do the listeners benefit when they only
Podcast,
hear pain points?
yeah,
And
you have to be careful. It's not a consultation. It's not a, what is it? What's the word? And it's not,
a coaching session or so.
yeah, it's not that. It's basically, hey, I love, for example, let's say I didn't know you. Say, hey, Catherine, I've been following you for a while. I love your interview you gave just a few recently. I just read your book. I just saw your interview on YouTube, on TV. I love what you're doing, and I would love for you to come on my podcast, share your story. So on the podcast, I say, so Catherine, tell me, what's your story?
Mhm.
What's your background? What's your business? It's not an interrogation. It's not a consultation. But then in the process, as you're building trust and rapport, you ask 1, 2, or 3 key questions to further vet them, to make sure that they are a good fit for your business in a very subtle way. Because again, all of that is based upon building trust, building rapport. Because if you ask a stranger, what's your number one pain point in your business? They're not going to answer. Or if they answer, or if you ask someone, hey, if you're a marketing agency, say, hey, what's your marketing agency? Sorry, marketing game plan right now? How much are you spending money on ads or marketing? Nobody's going to answer that to you truthfully unless they have trust in you. So you have a conversation, you ask them, so what's your story? Tell me more about your the genesis of the idea for your business. How did you get into that? What was the main motivation to get you started in this path? And just have a conversation. And then as you go, ask them 1, 2, or 3 key questions that you need to ask. And you will know what questions will be relevant for you to ask your prospects. And then take it from there. But the ultimate point of your podcast is to build that fundamental trust. Because again, when you're dealing with high ticket offers of $1,000, pounds of euros, it's about one thing and one thing only: trust.
Oh, so what I'm getting here is through the conversation, I now identify what his pain point is and what he would be needing. And based on that, I will offer him my services later, not
So
during the podcast.
no, what I do what I do, so I invite my prospect on the podcast. I build trust and rapport. And as long as you're inviting the right person, it's human nature. They'll ask you, so what about you, Catherine? What do you do? And when you answer, I do X for Y, because you've had the time to build rapport with them. Say, oh, wow, that's exactly what I'm looking for. Can you help me? Sure, let's set up a time to talk. Because again, once you have that trust, there's no need to sell, to pitch, to convince, or like to say in a funny, cheesy way, to seduce or kidnap someone to do business with. It's a natural, automatic, organic progression. The whole premise is to build trust, because it's once you have that trust, as human nature, either before, during, or after the call, they will ask you, so what about you? What do you do? And when you tell them, hey, I do X for Y, the pain point that you solve is exactly what they are struggling with. And you know that because you're inviting people based, again, your zone of genius, the avatar, where they hang out. It all comes in a circle.
I get
These
it.
are great questions. We'll develop that more in detail in the next few days. Let's take one last question, and then I'm getting hungry. I need to go eat. It's 9 p.m. over past 9 p.m. here. Any more question? Last question? Quick
Let's
question.
have a little comment on that conversation, because I think that will affect a number of people. I think what would happen inevitably as an organic conversation, if you treat it like that, is that you will indicate certain areas of your expertise, Catherine, and that will give you the authority. You're not giving specific solutions, but the sort of things that I would do in these situations would be this, and you just drop seeds or bread on the water that people, oh, that's interesting, I'll look into that. And you can mention the sorts of things, the
Client A, client B obtained in the past without naming someone. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And the sort of methodologies and so on that you use, and maybe people haven't heard of before, and just certain foods maybe that you particularly use yourself to promote certain functions and so on. So
Absolutely. One of the most
Thank you so
powerful
much.
benefits of having your Profitable podcast, especially as you keep on releasing good quality interviews and content constantly, is going to elevate you to be seen in your niche as an expert, as an authority, as a leader. Because again, only someone actually knows the industry can come up with not only the right guest, inspiring guests, but also meaningful insights. Just like Arthur just mentioned, you can say, oh, I've had this, someone similar client, we had the same issue. This is what worked for this person. You're not offering, it's not a coaching session. You can, again, share your story, speak from the heart, display your expertise by sharing your story of how you overcame what they're going through. By default, you're displaying your expertise. That's it.
Yeah. Great.
Does that make sense?
Okay. Makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, guys, listen, gotta jump off. Love talking to you guys, but I'm starving right now. It's 9 p.m. here. Listen, absolutely love this group. And I'm very much looking forward for tomorrow. We'll have an amazing guest tomorrow, my coach. So have a phenomenal day. As we say in Canada, have a fantabulous day. And see you guys tomorrow. I'll be posting the replay and the slides for today. Give me about an hour or two. I need to go eat first.
thank you so much, Bayman.
You're welcome. See you
Enjoy.
guys
Take
tomorrow.
care, y'all.
Tomorrow, 1 p.m.
Bye.
1 p.m. UK time, and for you, crazy same time, 8 a.m. Eastern. Thanks, my brother. See you guys.
Brother.
Yes.
Yeah,
Thank
bye.
you. Thank you, Ikra as well. Thank you for being here. Take care. Bye-bye.